An empty chair makes no money. Pretty simple concept to understand, but in practice, I found that this actually takes a while to get used to this concept. But when it comes to owning a barbershop, being a barber, I think this is a law of barbering that applies regardless of the business structure that you have. And in this video, I'm just going to cover a simple concept, which is an empty chair makes no money. I'm going to tell you how I thought about this and how you can use it as a barbershop owner to make sure that your chairs are never empty and that your barbershop is reaching its full potential. So this is the first video, hopefully, of a long series of videos that I would consider a law of barbering. So we're going to zoom in a little bit here so I can show you this. So I made this list for you guys of things that I think are universal laws. These are like gravity, things that are always going to be true in most cases, at least, if you own a barbershop or you're a barber that works for somebody else. In today's video, we're going to cover the first law, which is an empty chair makes no money. So first, I'm going to tell you where I got this law and then I'm going to tell you how you can use it to grow your barbershop. So I actually got this law from Southwest Airlines. They had this really simple concept of a plane on the ground makes no money. So once they realized that, they started to basically focus on how do we get planes in the air as fast as possible. And I don't remember if I got this from a book or a podcast, but it basically turned into the fact that they realized that the reason the planes were on the ground for so long is because of the baggage. All right, so they developed this revolutionary baggage control system so that they can get their planes in the air as fast as possible. And by doing that and focusing on this one simple concept of a plane on the ground makes no money, Southwest was able to become one of the most successful airlines, if not the most successful, in the United States. So how do we use that concept in the barbershop? Well, you have to realize that an empty chair is never going to make you any money. It doesn't matter whether it's booth rent, whether your shop is commission, or some blend of both. You have to make sure that that chair is occupied. And if you have a booth rent barbershop, then you have to make sure it's occupied by a barber, because the barber is paying you, and it's where all of your revenue is coming from. And if you have a commission-based barbershop, then you have to make sure both sides of the chair are full. You have to make sure that there is a barber available to take care of the clients and that there's a paying client sitting in the chair. So how do you use this? Well, you basically have to optimize for and just keep this phrase in your head. An empty chair makes no money. So then the problem that you have to solve, just like Southwest Airlines figured it out, is what is keeping you from keeping that chair occupied. Because as a booth rent barbershop owner, your only job really is to make sure that you have tenants, because it's really a landlord style relationship, like we covered in one of our previous videos on my YouTube channel, where as a barbershop owner, a booth rent barbershop owner, the way you make money is by having tenants. Your tenants are your barbers. And as long as you have a barber there paying you for their booth rent for the week or for the month, then you get to stay in business. But the second you lose that barber, you lose that rental income. So the job of a barbershop owner, I think, is keep the chair occupied, assuming that you have a booth rent barbershop. Now, if you have a commission style barbershop, you have the potential for way more profit, but you have to focus on both sides of the equation. You have to make sure that there is a barber available behind the chair to service those clients so that you can make money, because you don't make money as a commission barbershop owner unless there is a barber there to cut hair. You also don't make money as a commission barbershop owner unless there is a paying client in the chair paying for their haircut. So what are some examples that I've used in my barbershop that this has been helpful for me? Now, I will tell you that this line of thinking has really led to some creative ideas for me. So one example that we've used this thinking for is it didn't turn out to be a successful test for us, but maybe one of you guys can take this idea and run with it. But since I started adopting this phrase of an empty chair makes no money, an empty barber chair makes no money, that I started to look for opportunities of how can we monetize empty space, essentially, right? So we started thinking about what are some ways, maybe we don't even have the need for another barber right now, but is there a way that we can actually monetize the chair without a barber or without a client? So we actually tested for a while doing DIY services where a client can come in, there's a set of tools there already set up for them, and they can trim their own beard if they like. They could even cut their own hair, right? And I got that idea by going to a pet store and seeing that there are some DIY bath stations where I don't know why somebody would go to a pet store and pay to bathe their dog. I've never done that, but I could see the appeal, right? So I got that idea of like, what if we could do DIY services in the barbershop? It turned out that this wasn't a successful test, but I think that when you start to get an idea of, you have one focus, which in this case is make sure the chair is occupied, then you can start to test things to figure out, well, how do we make sure that that chair is always making money, that the chair is always spinning? So that didn't end up working out for us, but it did create this other line of thinking of, well, how do we get better at hiring? How do we get better at marketing? So these are the things that are in my barbershop owner mastermind community that I share with you guys. So anybody that's a part of this community, you can see like since we've started down the path of trying to figure out how do we always keep the chairs full, we've actually come up with some ways to do that pretty consistently. So one of those ways is making sure that you're ranking high on Google. So I made a course about that for the community. There's another course here. If you're ready to run paid ads, we have a whole course about that. So that's going to make sure that there are butts in the seat. But also these things that attract clients also attract barbers to come work for you. So if you're a commission or even if you're a booth rent style barbershop owner, you can absolutely benefit from the same principles. You may not be able to run ads, but you can benefit from being found on Google because people that are looking for a barbershop to work at are probably going to start with Google, right? So it's also pretty important, not just for the sake of clients, but for the sake of getting future barbers, that your Google profile is strong, that you're responding to these reviews, and that you're showing up on social media. Even if you don't need new clients, eventually you're going to need new barbers to come work for you because people come and go. So you want to be able to show up in as many places as possible. Google and Facebook and Instagram being just a few of those places that you want to show up. But if you are just a booth rent barbershop owner and all you need to do is focus on hiring barbers, well, we have a whole course about that too, where I've shared every single tactic that I've learned over the almost 10 years now of running my barbershop on how to find barbers. So this will benefit you if you have a booth rent barbershop or if you have a commission barbershop. So those are some of the things that we've learned just by adopting this simple phrase of an empty chair makes no money. So I challenge you guys to really take this to heart. Again, I think this is something that applies to no matter what type of barbershop you own. If you have a booth rent style barbershop, then you need to have barbers consistently working for you, working in the shop, paying you rent. Otherwise, you're not going to be making as much money as you thought. And then the other style, commission style, you need to have barbers behind the chair and you need to have clients in front of the chair. So probably at least twice the amount of work, but potentially way more profit for that style barbershop too. So this is just the first video of many that I plan on creating a series around of the laws of barbering. And so stay tuned. I'll probably put this all on a playlist for you guys. But this is just the first law. An empty chair makes no money. And hopefully this gives you some ideas on how you can make sure that your chairs are never empty. Keep them occupied, keep them spinning. If you guys need more help growing your barbershop, there's a link to my barbershop owner mastermind in the description of wherever you're watching this. I'll see you in the next one.